How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL video. And today we're going to be looking at Pep Guardiola's Roulette Game Week 4 edition. We're going to be taking a look at how Pep played his team in their defeat versus Leicester. We're going to be taking a look at my prediction for the lineup, and we're going to be discussing some key players that could potentially be seeing some minutes in this game week. If you haven't done so already, make sure to leave a like on the video, smash that subscribe button if you're new around here. It greatly helps out the channel, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Give us a follow over on Twitter and Twitch as well. It's PilotFlame226 on those platforms. We'll be doing a deadline stream over on Twitch in just under 9 hours, 5 a.m. EDT. We just start when it's 1 hour left before the FPL deadline. And give us a follow over on Twitter so that you can see the post when we do go live. And you can just click on the link and just, hop over onto Twitch. We'll all be there waiting. We have some topics to discuss. I may be doing an additional hit. You'll potentially be seeing the transfers that I've made. All sorts of fun stuff. So come with your questions. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So this is the lineup that Pep put out in their 5-2 defeat versus Leicester. They went with a 4-2-3-1 as they did in game week 1. They had Walker at right back, Garcia and Ake as the center back duo, Mendy at left back, Fernandinho and Rodri in a midfield 2 with Kevin De Bruyne playing just in front, Raheem Sterling playing as the false 9, Mahrez coming off the right and Foden off the left. I have it as a 4-3-3 here, but it was effectively a 4-2-3-1 as De Bruyne playing the cam. And basically, Leicester just kind of sat in and just defended for the most part and just hit them on the break. 1-2 penalties off of Vardy. He put them both away. He also had a lovely finish from a Castagne cross, just popping it down into the ground and up and over Ederson with a little bit of a side heel or back heel, whatever you want to call it. Very beautiful finish. And I think Pep was a bit naive, for me to call Pep naive. I don't know Pep at all. However, I think that Leicester's going to try to hit you on the break. They're going to try to frustrate you. And playing two DMs kind of didn't work out too well. Maybe he was scared of the counterattack. But in that sort of case, you kind of just want to play more attacking players or players that are very good into the press. And basically rely on your center backs. And clearly he doesn't, as they've gone out and bought Ruben Diaz from Benfica, who's probably going to be the partner to Laporte. Whereas Ake is going to be partnered by probably Garcia until the end of the season, or mainly Stones when he comes back fit. I think he's injured again. But overall, I don't like it when Sterling plays as the false 9. They really didn't have much potency. When Sterling's out on the left-hand side or out on the right, he makes runs behind. He causes defenders to go with him. And I think Foden, I would like to see him play in more of that false 9 role. I think he's better at link-up play, and I think he'll bring other players into the game more. And I think Pep got it wrong in this one, and the scoreline definitely shows that. Teams are going to sit back now with their fixture coming up against Leeds. I don't think that's going to be the case. It's going to be a lot more open, and I think you can get away with playing players that are a lot more attacking because you just have to basically score more than your opponent, which I think is how the game's going to go. You might see like a 3-2, a 4-2, something like that in City's favor. So let's kind of talk about some of the players that we think could be very good assets going into this game. So the first player we have on our list here is Raheem Sterling. In game week 2, he got an assist, getting himself 5 points, playing 81 minutes, 2 points in the game versus Leicester with 90 minutes played. And he did play in midweek versus the likes of Burnley in the Carabao Cup. However, he was playing off the left. They had the youngster through the middle. I still spaced out on his name. I should probably look it up. But he wore number 80, but it allows Sterling to do what he does best, which is get in behind. And away from home, he's a lot better at doing that. They were playing against Burnley. He scored 2 goals. He could have potentially scored more with the chances that he did have. And I think that he could definitely hurt Leeds as well, who are going to be a lot more open at the back. I think when Sterling plays as the false 9, he limits his, kind of the amount of things that he can do. He likes to get in behind. He likes to, stand up a defender 1v1 and kind of, do a little skill move, cut inside and go past them, or cut inside and shoot. And I think that in the false 9 role, you can't really do that. You have to be more about link-up play, more about tricky movement. And I think that Sterling is very good at that, coming from one direction, from left to right, when he's on the flank. But I think that having to do both ways and direct runs in behind, I don't think that's his strong suit. So I like to see him out on the left here. I like to see Foden be that false nine role. I think he can do it better. Or I would just like to see Pep go with Delap, or the other youngster that played in midweek, or just somebody that plays striker, just anyone that normally plays striker, stick them up there. I don't care if it's you could even stick one of their defenders up there to win headers even. If John Stones was fit, you could potentially just stick him up there and be a target man, like just something to get Raheem Sterling and Mars in behind, because that's where they want to be going. They want to have 1v1 situations, or they want to be running in behind, not kind of holding the ball up. Even though Sterling is quite strong in his own right when he wants to be, in terms of holding the ball up or kind of shielding it off from players. But I think that's not really a strong suit. And I think since Sterling's one of the better players, you kind of want to be playing him out on the left or out on the right, preferably the left, so he has the option to cut in and shoot. But I think Sterling is definitely a very good pick going into this week, especially because Leeds will be open, and if Sterling does play out on the left, I think he can get a massive haul this week. If he does play through the middle, probably less so, but he'll still be involved with the returns. And I think Sterling's a great asset for Leeds away in Game Week 4. The next player I wanted to talk about is Phil Foden. He got 9 points in the 90 minutes played versus Wolves away. Only got 2 points in the Leicester at home fixture with 63 minutes played. He did play... no, actually, he didn't play in the Carabao Cup. He was one of the very few that didn't play in the Carabao Cup, which means that he's probably going to start this game. Now, the thing is with Foden, I think he's capable of playing that David Silva role. He is left-footed. He's very good at coming in off the right. He can play the number 8 role. He's very good at making plays from deep. He's very good at making runs in behind. He's very good at that intricate link-up play. So I think I can see him long-term going into that midfield role. I don't know if it's going to be coaching, where it's something where Pep wants to play him out on one side and then kind of slowly gravitate him towards that David Silva role, which really hasn't been filled yet. And I think there's only 2 people in the whole team that could probably play that role properly. For one, they have to be left-footed, and I think that Foden is one of those players. I think the other one is Bernardo Silva, who is actually the last player that we have to talk about. I think Mars can do it, but I think he's a lot better out on the right. He's more lethal there. It just makes more sense. I think with Foden and Bernardo Silva, they like to do those intricate little tiki-taka style of passing, and they like to run off of players, which is very good for that number 8 or attacking midfield number 8 role, kind of the way De Bruyne plays when they play the typical 4-3-3 with Fernandinho at the base. And I think that makes a lot more sense, because playing Fernandinho at center back just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me personally. I think he's too slow for the role. He's much better when he's, in that center defensive midfield role. And I think with Foden in the midfield, if you have Foden, De Bruyne, and Fernandinho, you have 3 really capable players and really aggressive players in terms of pressing. And I think that the defensive side of things is something that could help the center backs who have been, or the fullbacks who've been giving away penalties, from actually being exposed as much as they have. City, the way they defend is basically they press you before you break their press, and they retain the ball, and then you never get a chance to actually attack. So that's what City wants to mitigate, and I think Foden is very good at that. I also think that if he plays in a false 9 role, he's very good at that, pressing from the front. He has bundles of energy, and I think that he could be, quite good in that false 9 role, and I would like to see him there, because if you sacrifice even a little bit of Foden's game, even if his best position is out wide or in a midfield 3, I think that you rather Raheem Sterling, who's probably, I would consider one of more experienced players, even though I think he's only in his mid-20s, and he's probably probably your best player apart from Kevin De Bruyne at the current stage, barring Aguero, because you would probably consider him to be second. I think that Sterling can be more valuable out wide, and I think you can hinder a little bit of Foden in order to gain a lot out of Raheem Sterling and the likes of Mahrez. And I think Foden's definitely capable of playing that role, or in a midfield 3, as we mentioned, as a number 8. And the last player we want to talk about here before we get to my predicted lineup is Bernardo Silva. Now, he hasn't played any part in any of the games this season, getting 0 points, 0 minutes in both the Leicester and Wolves fixture, with their Game Week 1 fixture being a blank because it was rescheduled due to them playing in Europe. He did come on in the Carabao Cup, looked lively, looked full of energy, and I think that since he's back to fitness, he was scheduled to be after the international break. I think that he could provide quite a diverse kind of different style of player towards Pep's Arsenal that he could potentially field against certain opposition. He's very good at pressing from the front. He's very good at pressing when he plays in a midfield three. And I think Pep trusts him to kind of play in that David Silva role. It's in his name, probably. But he is very good at those intricate, kind of like one-touch passing. He's very good at making runs, in and around the corner. He's very good at creating space for others. And he's also very good at beating players 1v1. So if he has to, pick up the ball quickly, drive past the player, and then kind of lay a ball in behind for one of the forwards to latch onto it and have a one-touch finish or just an attempt on goal, he's very good at doing that. David Silva was also great at that in his prime, pressing very, actively, stealing the ball off players, couple of touches, maybe dip around a man and then just lay the ball in to the likes of Aguero, who just like one touch, get out from under his feet and shoot. And I think Bernardo Silva, we could see him definitely in there. I think we can also see him out on the right hand side where he's typically favored, as he's very good on his left foot. He's technically both footed, but I think his left foot is his strong suit. And Pep has a pretty interesting decision because he has Bernardo Silva that can play out there, he has Mahrez that can play out there, and he has Foden that can play out there. But once you see my predicted lineup, you'll see kind of how I think Pep should kind of go against Leeds in this game week. So this is the predicted lineup that I think Pep Guardiola will go with in this game week. I don't think Ruben Diaz will be fit enough to make the starting 11, although he did mention that he could potentially play. And if that is the case, I can see him slotting in where Fernandinho is playing at right center back, and then he will replace Rodri. I think Walker and Mendy keep their place at right and left back. Ederson picks himself in goal. I think he's going to play a more aggressive style. I think he's going to match Leeds in their aggression. And I think the way you have to play against Leeds is you have to match their press. They're very good on the ball. They're going to be quite active. You can't play scared versus Leeds, because if you do, they will pick you apart. So you have to match aggression with aggression. You have to basically cut them off at the source. And I think the likes of Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Riyad Mahrez, Sterling, and Foden are all great choices in terms of cutting them off. Fernandinho, if he plays in that, center defensive midfield role, is going to be quite good in that regard. I think if Diaz comes in, that's even better, because the likes of Rodri isn't as good in the press as Fernandinho is. He's a very capable passer of the ball, but I think he can get exposed at times defensively. One change that I also think I would like to see as well, even though I have it set up because I think Pep will play Sterling as a false nine, is Foden in that false nine role with Sterling out on the left. It provides so much threat on the counter when they dispossess Leeds with Mahrez and Sterling in behind. Quick little 1-2 between De Bruyne or Bernardo and Foden, that kind of triangle. And then they're off to the races with Mendy and Walker supporting and bombing forward. Also, you'll have, a pretty solid, kind of triangle at the back with Laporte, Diaz, and Fernandinho if Rodri doesn't play. Gundogan is also not fit for this game as of yet. He is coming back from his quarantine stay. He only just recently came back to training. I believe it was yesterday, so he won't be fit for the game. You could also play Delap up front as well. I'd be perfectly fine with that. But I think this is the team that Pep will go with. I don't think it's correct in that I don't like Fernandinho as a center back. I think it just takes a lot of value out of the midfield. And I think Rodri, if you do go with this attacking style lineup, which you very well possibly could, I think that Rodri is a bit weaker in that role, and I think he'll definitely bring in Bernardo Silva, whether it's in the midfield three or out wide right. We have to wait and see. Ferran Torres will be on the bench as well as Delap, and if Diaz doesn't play, he'll definitely be on the bench, I think, as well. But overall, I think this is what Pep's going to probably go with. If he does go with this style of formation, I think Sterling is still a fine option this week, because they will still see, shots inside the box, shots outside the box, just attempts overall. They will have a decent portion of the ball. They will get their fair share of chances. Foden will be quite good, whether he plays as a false nine, whether he plays out wide right, out wide left, or even potentially in midfield three. KDB, if you play him in the 10, he could be quite good there. He's going to be effective overall because City will potentially get a penalty. I mean, Koch down the back for Leeds hasn't been great. He's given away 2 penalties in the first 3 games, so not ideal there. And Mahrez had more points per game in the minutes that he did play. He was higher than KDB in that category last season. So I think Mahrez could be quite lethal. But for some reason, towards the, post-restart, Mahrez was just finding himself often on the bench when in normal circumstances he would have played. So maybe Ferran Torres comes in there or Foden switches up then and Ferran Torres goes out wide right or wide left, sorry. we'll have to wait and see. But overall, I think this is the predicted lineup that I think Pep will go with in Game Week 4. And that's going to do it for the Game Week 4 edition of Pep Roulette. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. It greatly helps out the channel. And turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. And give us a follow over on Twitter and Twitch. Mainly Twitch because that's where we do our preview streams. We won't be doing it this Monday coming for the preview stream. It'll be next week when Game Week 5 is, a thing, the week leading up to the weekend of games for Game Week 5. And we're going to be doing our deadline stream tomorrow, so less than 9 hours from now, probably 8.5 hours from now, by the time you see this video. And it's going to be 1 hour before the deadline, so whenever the deadline is for you in your time zone, our stream will be live. So make sure to follow us over on Twitter so you can get the notification, and follow us over on Twitch so that you can get the notification there as well, so you have a 2-for-1. We're going to be discussing a bunch of different things. What city assets are going to be good going forward? Or should we, wait and see on Wolves? There's a bunch of different topics I kind of have in mind, and potentially some more transfers in mind for my team as well. Also, if you're on a wild card, make sure to come and drop by the stream. We'll put it in the chat, and we'll see, kind of what people think of it. I'll give my take on it as well and trying to help people out as best I can. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you over on Twitch for the deadline stream. And until the next one, take care.